lead over everybody else. The question is maintenance. The question is consistency. Can they carry on that path? Will they be able to maintain their course? Coming on into our first match of the day, of course, it's Sandhawk as the stage rises to meet us. We're heading over to the jungle.
That's it. We're going to the jungle for the first time, mind you, at least during PMWC for ourselves. It's going to be a wonderful thing. I love Sandhawk personally. It's an aggressive map. It's small. It's chaotic. Third parties galore. So I'm so ecstatic that we're hopping into it. As far as regions go, Americas, honestly, for me, it surprised me more so for Alpha 7. Again, during the American season, they just weren't performing as well as I needed them to perform. I really thought they were a bit lackadaisical. They were going to come into this tournament and kind of fall a bit flat, not necessarily be like just drop the ball completely. But I thought they weren't going to be as dominant as they were, at least on day one. So now that they return to the stage, super excited to see what they're going to be made of, especially because the fact that Revo, Revo was incredible on day one, but he wasn't outdoing others such as like Mafioso, right, who is typically not the stat leader on this roster. But Revo, if he could become the stat leader again with Mafioso, Carrillo, and Squash already performing as well as they are, Alpha 7 could be unstoppable, and they're going to have to be to catch up to Alter Ego.
It is going to be a long path that they would want to tread to be able to get up and keep pace. We're looking out for hot drops as well. I think it's this Northwest Island that's going to pop up first, though, on the top of the mountain. Thundertalk and Alter Ego. Rosemary, though, has been cut down in a 1-for-1 trade. They still have more to do. Rosemary still, maybe? No, he's not going to get rest, but will they find the trade around the corner? Krypton hits the deck, and now they have to rely on the rest of the roster to pull this one back under control. Everyone wielding weaponry here on the top of the mountain. The spray down, though, the reload necessary, but he doesn't clock it in time. Doesn't manage to slide that mag on through, and it is Alter Ego going down clean in a first engagement. Can they keep up the pace? A resounding no.
Man, game one starting like that after a heroic day one, or day two, excuse me, and day one ultimately for Alter Egos is tough. It really is. Luckily, they're doing just fine in the points category. They can let one map go and then come back even stronger in the 5 remaining that they have. I still fully expect them to qualify in top 8, but yeah, early on, getting the ego out of the way, Thunder Talk says, we'll take the fight to you in the early engagement. This is our area to the right of Camp Alpha, and they dominate the fight. I believe not even losing one, excuse me. I think there was one down, but they get them back onto the feet. That is a dominating win. And Thunder Talk, for example, by the way, super surprising performance. The fact that they're up there now in top 3, at least in our current standings, but not overall, you gotta give them respect. They came into the tournament. We had a lot of questions about them. We knew they were a great team, but we didn't know they were going to be doing as well as they currently are. So for Thunder Talk, beautifully done.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, those early hot drop scenarios, right? They are a little bit more chaotic. There is a little bit more of a window of opportunity to play the variance, right? To have the outside chance, low armor, that sort of thing can really come into play quite impactfully in those early engagements, especially when you're all dropping on that high ground mountain on the Northwest Island. And yeah, it's just not going to go Alter Ego's way this time around. They will try and push further. We spoke a lot yesterday about the bubble. We're still seeing it probably going to fall around that 80-point boundary. And of course, Alter Ego at 78, very, very close to that already. And we're still expecting that to be the case. The question is, where can everybody else go? Out of this set of 16 teams, we're expecting between 4 and 5 of them to be able to make it in through towards the top 8 of the bracket. It seemed like a fairly solid lock that 4 Thrives are going to make it on 111 points, a massive lead at the top. And then you've got a lot in the mid-80s, a couple in the mid-80s there. So if we get 5 teams out of this set of 16 into the top 8, that would be what we're expecting. So if we took the top 5 teams right now, that would be down to Weibo Gaming.
Weibo Gaming, waiting for them to obviously make their way up the standings. A talented roster up in the north side of the map currently, have to work their way down towards the south, maybe opposite of R8 IG. Maybe they get into a bit of a scrappy fight. Curious if IG will rotate down to the south towards boot camp to kind of establish that, be the edge keeper team. Most likely going to have to continue to go a bit further south, but in the meantime, keeping R8 in check off of the distance, just on the outside of Paradise. For AXTMG, another roster that I feel like has had a lot of great moments, and they have shined bright at times. but they have fallen a bit short. That's another roster that needs to step it up tremendously. After all, only 6 more games remain for them. And let's not be, forgetting Falcons either, right? Falcons, a team, the crowd favorite, who came in second place in game number 2, Erangel, day number 1. I saw great promise for them, but for them only to slow down. So for Falcons on the southern portion of the map, a bit split. Hopefully they get back together because they've got APG, Gamex around them. They're going to have to fight, probably not now, but at least soon enough.
I like APG's split as well in the center. This 2-2 controlling the compound down the hill as well as that high ground scout tower. It is really powerful, but it looks like the Falcons are going to try and challenge on that south point, so potentially a bit of an upset for the APG position. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a regroup as they try and keep that one together. Nongshim rolling on in as well, trying to make their way through, and it's just going, it's going pretty well. Power had taken a lot of casualties earlier around that ruins location. Not going to be too much to do. APG do in fact regroup here as the Falcons try and get to the top of the hill. A beautiful nade though. Looks like it may be able to even the odds.
Ralph has to do something though. Like you said, even the odds. Get a flying card. This is a perfect opportunity to send some shots flying to top. From up top, keeping Ralph's head down low. It's a perfect opportunity to push, but Top's got a nade and he's willing to throw it, and Ralph is missed. Top now full send, DPS in hand, and Ralph will fall. And beautiful shots on Redox just below. An unfortunate set of circumstances for Falcons, but make no mistake about it, APG also taking some hits.
Where are those shots even coming from? I think that might be from, is that from Redox down the hill? Is he still going?
I think he has to be.
I think he might be. Could be Nongshim coming in on this west side. You've also got Gamax out on this east edge, but for now, they are still all alive. It is only Redox for the Falcons. That is really nasty going for them. I mean, he's a powerful player. The guy's got some style, but against 4, against Alpha Gaming, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, it's going to be tough without question. Alpha Gaming getting some much needed points. Luckily, they get all their teammates back up into play. They had a player down on a tower just up ahead, but now they're going in to finish off the Falcons, to finish off Redox, but it's not going to be that easy. Redox putting out some tremendous damage, and he's looking to take on the full force. Meanwhile, Zyle is also down. Nade's thrown at his feet, but it's got a couple of seconds. He times it properly to push forward with the DPS, but misses the critical shots. APG take the Falcons down.
It was a nice read at the start of that one from Redox to be able to hold his nerve around the corner. He heard the pin pulled, he saw the nade come through, he knew that's not going to be a problem for me. I'm going to be pushing through anyway after my nade. He already had that advantage on the tempo. It's just unfortunate that he didn't connect with that nade too well. He didn't connect with his shotgun shells. It could have been a different story. It was a lone player on the inside, but it does mean, again, APG, Alpha Gaming, stay alive. Our next circle shift is going to go a little bit down to the south, but it does keep that northern shoreline up and into the game. However, it's very treacherous to play there. You've essentially got the hilltop over Painan and not too many other places that you're going to feel super comfortable. Maybe over towards Cave.
Fajita from Gamex, I need him to join his roster. You notice Alpha 7 might be splitting the difference in between them. That's going to leave him isolated, maybe Arthur, but I do notice that they start to take some vehicles and rotate down. Alpha 7, opposite of them, that's going to be scary because let's face it, for Gamex, they did not have a great day 2. They only, out of 6 games, they managed to secure 5 points. If Alpha 7 sees Gamex, they're going to see a weaker team. They're going to want to push that and get some much needed, and in their mind, easy points. Now, granted, Gamex a phenomenal team, but Alpha 7, again, they're sharks and they want to eat it from the horse. So unfortunate, man. What did he do to you?
That was a replay of the knock that Nongshim were able to find over near the ruins, and Ida lost a player because of it. This is this engagement you were talking about. Alpha 7 went for a swim. I know it's hot here in Riyadh, but it is still quite risky to go for these swims, as Alpha 7 do manage to make landfall, and more than that, they're landing lead. Down towards Gamax, find a second knock as well. An answer with a DBS at range, but there is nobody else to try and pick up the pieces here. They are not close enough by. They were not regrouped, and Gamax are going to fumble.
You have a Gamex member who's going to be on the bridge just up to the north, right? He all by himself, and Mafioso sniffs this out, and he's going to go ahead and go for a push. You can tell Alpha 7 does not respect Gamex in this situation. The way that Rebo pushed up that hill, he pushed up without a care in the world. He was willing to even take a ton of damage because he felt super confident in his ability to get the win. Gamex not only getting taken down from Alpha 7, but naturally as they move up, they run into Kinetropus. Unfortunately, they also get taken down. Another bad game. Corona, the only thing he can do is try and stay alive.
I give it Okay, he's in a pretty solid spot in terms of having not too many players nearby him, but I still only give it maybe 45 seconds.
Dang, 45.
I'm giving him 45 seconds.
Okay.
I think he's spotted. APG could be there. Okay, no, he's found some buildings.
Okay.
He's drastically extended his life expectancy.
He's got 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
No, he's got to. Either way, just got to stay alive. I mean, come on, get a point. You know, Gamex struggling so much, survival stage most likely in the future, but it's still early goings. 5 more games to go, and maybe they can pull off a miracle run. After all, we kind of witnessed it just yesterday with Alter Ego's Eris performing as well as they were. Weibo getting into a bit of a scuffle. IG pushing up confidently. He is down. And intense game. Another roster coming out from the Americas region. Actually, the champions from the Americas region looking to take this entire thing. I feel like they underperformed in their performance yesterday, but today they're looking to be the top dogs.
Well, hopefully they can find more on this game. They have managed to find that first pickup. This is over on the north side, so have not crossed the river. Of course, it isn't fully guaranteed that the circle will end up on the South Island, although the majority of our teams think it may well do. Otter, one of those teams, but they're right up into the river, holding that crossing, and R8, they're knocking at the door. Unfortunately, they're not being let in. It's certainly not a friendly atmosphere in the neighborhood.
No, not at all. You wouldn't expect it to be anyways during PMWC. So for R8, where do you think they go? I mean, rotate down to the bridge. Let's see where zone shifts. So R8's actually okay for the moment. I'm surprised it didn't shift more towards the side of, obviously, the south where the majority of the teams are. But you do have to start making a decision. And if I'm R8, if I'm Weibo, if I'm IG, I do want to start getting over towards the mainland, towards the main portion of the map where the current teams are. But it's quite congested.
I'm looking at where AXTMG are right now. We saw APG were up on that high ground before. They had that massive overlook. They had to regroup up there, and that has allowed a team to move into that compound, and that is where AXTMG currently sit. So beneath a massive hill, central on that compound, a potential path in towards Painan, those rocks that sit to the north of them. I think AXTMG right now have one of the best spots in the lobby. The 2-2 split that they have, they can hold this for a little bit longer with APG being those guard dogs on the south edge.
Say God dogs, but also Alpha 7 on the edge themselves, right? The edge team, they love to do this, and well, they've got Kinotrope just in front of them, and not really a lot of coverage, but at the moment they're okay. But when they do start to break in, I gotta assume Kinotrope is going to take a couple of shots. If they want to go to the left, well, you got Ida, you got APG's going to take some shots. So here it is, Kinotrope looking, eyes peeled, head on a swivel. All 4 members from Alpha 7 up ahead.
They don't want to flow out. They don't want to give this position away. He's being reserved with these peaks, and rightly so. The most south point of this hold. It's difficult to get the regroup here, but it looks like they're going to bolster. Ida potentially moving in behind this push for Alpha 7, so third parties could be dangerous.
Oh, here we go. Alpha 7 moves up. Kirill stays alive miraculously. Are you kidding me? Kinotrope loses one. Tamara's down. An amazing set of circumstances. Revo may be tempting the revive, and he will fully commit to it. The fact that Alpha 7 manages to get that knock is spectacular. Carrillo the bait, Revo the shot. Kinotrope takes the opportunity to reposition.
Ida in the background, they haven't struck here. It's a little bit of lost time for them. This could have been a nice opening for them. 2 of their opposing teams in their way did go down or lose a player, have a casualty, but they're just backing off of this fight entirely.
Honestly, I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. Get away from this engagement. I think if it would have popped off a bit more, Ida would have been more aggressive, right, and getting in there and getting the cleanups. But when they noticed Alpha 7 was able to get picked up back on their feet, there wasn't a lot of damage to Kinotrope, -1 knock. They said, okay, maybe this isn't our time. Granted, it's not going to be any easier trying to go dead center, and they're sending it dead center into Gamex to the solo of Corona. They're going straight past APG. They're going in to AXTMG, but all eyes once again on this Alpha 7 Kinotrope fight. Kinotrope does not want to give up their ground. They don't have to, but Alpha 7 have to continually move forward. Squash Mafioso from the distance. Revel Carrillo being the tip of the spears to push up. This is going to be a tough fight. They already scuffled a bit. Mind you, both teams get back on their feet, all 4 of them, so it's still a 4v4.
They're going to have to get out of there. In the meantime, Ida's crash has not gone well. Ida have lost 1 at least. I think the nades are continuing to pour on through. AXTMG, they have the sideline angle from the east point of their 2-2 hold. They have the north side of the road on the compound, and they have Alpha Gaming, who have those shots down the hill towards the back approach of Ida. it's only one player now standing for Ida. It was a Hail Mary. They wasted their time on the south. I think the call should have been roll over Alpha 7, try and move it on in. But as it stands, they're going to have to try and snake it out. In the meantime, Nongshim, they've been slowly executing this northwestern side well. They have been moving through this ground, this terrain, and been vigilant with it. Sure, they've lost a player, but they're on 6 elims. Not too many other players are in their location as well.
Well, Thunder Talk started with our first Bloods taking down Alter Ego Ares, the team who was phenomenal yesterday. And now they run into a full, like you said, Nongshim Red Force, who have been dismantling the left side of the map. AJ from Thunder Talk, the last alive, the solo standing, trying to get any additional points that he possibly can. Again, every single point you gain is critical. They're currently sitting at 50, which I believe puts them close to the top 8, if I'm not mistaken. Doc, one of the main damage dealers, at least, onto the Thunder Talk fight. He'll go ahead and relocate. AJ pretty much dead to rights and actually might take himself out in blue. Maybe not wanting to give any points away.
I mean, point denial is pretty important, especially when you're facing off against teams chasing for that bubble. Fortunately for them, Nongshim Red Force, 16 points total before this match started. It's not going to be too much of an impact, you'd hope, to alter those tables towards the top 8 if you get that point sent over the other way. But it does look like AJ's just trying to survive as long as possible. Ida did manage to keep their south side of this one. This is mostly in part to Alpha Gaming rotating in onto the north side up to these rocks, but now they've got a challenge sent their way by Nongshim Red Force, who have moved in from this northwest side, and they are going to the standing stones.
Emery has a beautiful off angle onto Zial up ahead, but AXTMG continues to have their forces dwindled away, taken down one by one. They're now down to 2. Syrax keeping his head on a swivel. Emery up ahead along with Aaron, and while Emery again through the windows just taking down members not only in AXTMG but also APG up ahead. Devo T wants to try and renegotiate his position, but really they're just going to stay where they currently are. The next zone is going to shift, and it's going to be quite deadly if AXTMG has to re-rotate. They don't, luckily for them, but this area on the left-hand side is getting quietly contested. You've got Nongshim Red Force who have rolled in. You still have AJ from Thunder Talk, who is getting into an engagement. I think he's down. He is now out. So 3 teams, Nongshim Red Force, APG, EDA, as well as AXTMG, all within the same location. And APG is getting dismantled, and you also have Revo, who's currently down.
He's been knocked by a solo from Gamax. APG do go down fully as well. Ida picking up a couple of the points there. They're up to 6 elims. That was a really lovely pickup for them. They'll be now on 52 points plus whatever placements they can find, and they are still on that chase. You can see Alpha 7 on the boundary. Looks like they have managed to clear the threat. Oh, maybe not. Ooh, okay, 2 players going down for Alpha 7 to a solo from Gamax of all teams to be able to take a large chunk out of Alpha 7, but they stay alive. They have 4. They'll have to push in quickly, though.
Well, for what it's worth, you gave him 45 seconds originally, then I said 2 minutes, and then he ended up almost dismantling Alpha 7. He did his part. R8 behind a wall, taking nade after nade. Weibo's been relatively quiet this game, currently sitting at 0 eliminations, but this is the time where they start to wake up. The zones get closer and closer, and 33Z taking down 1 from R8 as they reposition. They're pushing in full steam ahead, and they might be able to take them by surprise. Order just up. Mark needs to be ready to clear the left side of this choke point. Some pre-shots. He pushes up. Pre-nade's going to be out. Actually smokes. This is going to be chaotic.
Oh, a full blind there for Marth, and he can't hold the door frame anymore. Weibo going low as well, though, and into a 1 versus 1. Ida versus 33Z around the corner, and Maxman was right. They start off slow. Weibo go down in 10th.
Weibo out. Maxman looking at his crystal ball, predicting the future. E-Arena, a roster that's very far down in the point standing. Another roster that's at 0, been opposite of intense game for quite some time, hugging the hardcover POI, now maybe forced to go out into the open. That's going to put IG as well as EA into a direct competition. Not going to be easy for them, but E-Arena, they're going to have to move. Intense game also have to go forward. Hora has taken some respite inside of the current zone, but I'm looking at AXTMG still at EDA. They look to be the strongest, at least currently, but you also can't forget about Nongshim Red Force. Honestly, I think a lot of teams get a piece of the zone where they feel relatively comfortable, but yeah, the IG E-Arena fight, that's going to be a deadly one.
Alpha 7 down to 1 player in the midst of all that scrapping in Painan. Over on the northeastern side, I didn't quite catch it, but they've lost 3 players down on that south edge. Nasty stuff coming on through. I imagine that would be in Kinotrope. on that eastern flank. But Painan needs to conclude now. Intense game, E-Arena. They have to try and scramble their way out over the walls and up to the hills. The Nongshim Red Force position on that northwest side looks pretty tasty right now, but they have to extricate themselves from one another to have a shot.
Well, I thought it was going to be IG and E-Arena fighting, but it's Nongshim Red Force who's gatekeeping them, taking out one by one of IG, who might not even be able to get their teammate back into play. I think they do it just in the nick of time, but Red Force is going to keep their heads down. Petrino knows, look, we've got to take this E-Arena roster out, but it's not going to be easy, as Mormon firing some wonderful shots, drops one. They start to push up, but again, once they get out of this hard cover, Red Force is going to be ready for them.
They are currently 2 players on the overlook there from the high ground. They've left Binny down to control the compound situation. Ora also lighting up the sidelines. Mormon under pressure, but he is able to weather the storm. The nade pin pulled, but has to put it back in, get that first aid going. They can't afford to lose that forward position. Turney K moves on in as well. No fear behind the tree. These locations are getting lit up now as Sleepy goes down in the back line for Ora. E-Arena weather the storm. Doxy, though, moving over the top of the hill as Tizzy moves in too.
Sky, great shots, but forced to hit the ground. E-Arena keeping the pressure up. The car is on fire. Back away. You don't want to take any additional damage or, man, even go down. Joker also on the move. You can't even go too far up this hill. If you do, you're going to be isolated by Kinotrope, but watch out. Kinotrope is going to be coming up behind Hora. Hora needs to be ready for this. They can't be focused too hard on the third party. They move in, and Sleepy's down, and Kinotrope might be able to get a team wipe.
Ida are rubbing their grubby little mitts here on the south side. They might be able to steal this away, depending on the chaos on the north side. We'll see how this unfolds. E-Arena starting to collapse. Kinotrope move in, and Aura go down first. Nongshim Red Force, they have kept 3 players alive. Can they move back into a position to make it work for them? Can they move back down towards the center of this next circle? As Nongshim Red Force stay as 3, crucially.
E-Arena, they're in tough goings. You've got Kinotrope right behind them. You've got Nongshim Red Force in front of them. The zone shifts even further, and I believe Red Force needs to take advantage of this. They need to rotate as quickly as they can, because I believe with the elevation of the mountain, they can rotate around, and they can take some respite where Benny is currently at. Kinotrope, they're most likely down and out, and in fact, they're going to be fully eliminated, but you still got eyes on AXTMG. Ida, who's going to be in the hardcover location just down below, and Ida only has 2. Of course, AXTMG only has 1, but they can output quite a bit of damage. But back on board with Red Force. E-Arena, can they get the full finishes? Yes, they can.
And now the attention is turned. For Nongshim Red Force, they have to push back down towards this next circle, but they don't have cover. Ida have it for a little bit longer. They're lighting up these sidelines. There's a vehicle up there as well. Doxy goes forwards. He needs to make something happen here, or they will go down. On the inside, they will be pushed out, but they can survive for just that little bit longer. Nongshim Red Force, they're on the lip of that hill at the top there.
Okay, but he doesn't know, right? He doesn't know AXTMG is going to be just off to the left. Placement points for Ida so big in this moment. They want to stay alive as long as humanly possible. But Aaron's going to drop down. Doc gets active. But meanwhile, the trap is still set. AXTMG goes forward. Doc, you got to be ready for this. He sniffs it out. He clears the corner. Just a sliver of hell for AXTMG. And he holds on tight. Can't get the finish, but finally does it. That's an additional point. But at the end of the day, Nongshim Red Force take game number 1.
A massive performance from Nongshim Red Force. They were quietly executing the northwestern side of that circle from the ruins area. They took that fight, they made it work, they took control, and nobody was able to challenge them there. Alpha Gaming thought they had a chance. Nongshim Red Force said, no way, we are here to play, and that is a brilliant entrance to today. I know that Neptura was saying they needed something on this day, and they have delivered here. They started on 16 points. That's going to put them up with a 13-11 game up to 29.
It's a way to start the day. Nongshim Red Force looking powerful. Other teams, though, looking a bit weak off of game 1. Falcons, Alter Ego Eris, forced to step it up in the next remaining games. But either way, for Ida, you got to give them their flowers. Second place gives them some much-needed placement points. Also in the running to break into our top 8 and move directly into the finals. The question is, can they do it? Well, we're going to have to find out. It was a great game number 1. Sandhawk never disappoints.